And on the bottom right, in the blue, she is for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett.
And the red Terran player in the top left-hand side, representing Team Liquid, he is Kelazhur. Diego Schwimmer. And, okay, so I wish I had actually clarified this with the players in the lobby, but Scarlett's in Korea, right?
Yes.
And Kelazhur's still in Europe, right?
Bulgaria. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there may be a little bit of latency between them. I feel like it's worth mentioning because, you know, sometimes that does happen, especially in a very mechanically demanding matchup like this. But just want to get the one mention of it out of the way for the series and stuff, so we can just kind of enjoy the games. But it is always something that also sometimes can impact maybe decision making on going for like super duper technical build orders or super micro intensive kind of strategies and stuff, versus maybe just playing a little bit safer and saying like, yeah, I'll go for like something that gives me a little bit more robustness to my strategy.
Yeah, and you know what the interesting thing is, by the way, is we talk about, okay, where are these players? Where are they on their kind of the ebbs and flows of their career? Kelazhur has a winning record against Scarlett. Like, I know he'd beaten her recently, but I did not expect Kelazhur to have a winning record. He's 11-6 in Legacy of the Void series. I did not expect him to have that winning record.
You know, I see it, and here's the reason why, is that I think that for a very long time, Kelazhur was not really playing against Scarlett that often when it came to like the NA regionals and stuff. The time when Kelazhur started playing Scarlett was basically when Kelazhur started coming up a lot more as a player, not just as like an amateur player and stuff, but like he was actually starting to compete with a lot of top players and stuff. And I think that's when he started encountering Scarlett more often, because even though we kind of associate them as being like from relatively the same region, Copa America was just kept separate from like North America for the most part, and like a lot of the regional events and stuff. So I think that's where Kelazhur was kind of mostly competing up until that point.
Yeah, that's fair. And the fun also, you talk about, again, ebbs and flows. Kelazhur is one of these players that, again, we saw the Nina versus Kelazhur series. I don't remember if I did that with you or Roddy, but anyways, he looked, nice catch there on the Reaper. Gets the creep tumor, but that's probably not worth it. I mean, speed is still very far off. But anyway, Kelazhur plays against Nina. You know, he looks really shaky for the first 10 minutes or so, 10, 12 minutes. Nina does a very good job defending, and Nina is definitely one of those players who is trying to play herself back into shape right now. And then it's like 12 minutes onward, he turns a switch. He does this in both games of that series, and all of a sudden we go from Kelazhur looking shaky, you know, not finding the value he wants, maybe not microing appropriately, to multitasking in 3 positions at the same time, and just rips the shell off of Nina's position. And it's like, well, why is 12 minutes so special here, Kelazhur? Like, what's the difference? What's the secret sauce?
No, I love that. It's obviously nice if you can do that from the get-go, but hey, if you can turn it on later on after you get a little bit of warm-up in, then I'm all for it as well, and that's good enough for me. But poor Hellions going to be doing a very deep dive in, knowing that they can escape out through the south side, finding a single drone, escaping out, only taking a little bit of damage on those Hellions. Yeah, I think solid kind of little opening play here with a follow-up of Cloak Banshee. Truly just the oldest school of old school here from Kelazhur.
Yeah, just about as bog standard as possible. Although, Fear Dragon, that does beg the question. Why is a bog the standard?
Why is a what the standard?
Yeah, you hear people say bog standard. Like, it's just the default thing. But why is it a bog that is the standard?
I have not heard bog standard before.
Huh. By the way, this is not bog standard after all. That is a lot of Hellions on the map. 8 of them right now, a couple more on the way. And this is Hellbad Banshee. Kelazhur, we talked about how, you know, he looked really good against Nina after the 12-minute mark. He's trying to give us a game that's not going to reach there. This is pretty heavily committed. And it's mech, by the way, behind this. A couple more factories going in.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be committed in the sense that he is looking to definitely try and get some damage done, but he does definitely have a fallback. If he doesn't find game-ending damage, I think that's okay, but he is most certainly looking to get something done, because he wants to keep Scarlett occupied at home, and right now, actually, one really great way to do it is to find the queens with no detection. Ay.
Yeah, this force base, it seems like it's almost destined to die. There's nothing to deal with the Banshees, although one isn't even cloaked because the queens they gotta run. This 4 will not get up. The fourth base actually is gonna it's gonna get killed or canceled. The queens, Scarlett has a lot of queens here. She's got 8, so these Hellbats, they are going down, and Scarlett, oh, that's a dead hatch. She lets it die, and yeah, she will deal with these Hellbats eventually, but we do have a lair. Where is our detection? She didn't build an Overseer. She wanted to rely on spores that she didn't have, and this is just kind of a disaster.
Disaster is the only term that is appropriate for what is going on right now. This is so unfortunate for Scarlett. She was looking to try and get that spore crawler up, and then I don't even know, maybe she also thought that she started morphing into Overseer, but then realized that never got started or something. That's the only thing I can imagine, because otherwise you knew that the Overseer was, or that the spore crawler was dying. There was no way it was going to get up in front of all those Hellbats. That's putting her in a really awkward spot now.
Yeah, so she had she has 8 queens again, but she lost 3 of them, a couple drones, a couple lings. Okay, that's fine, right? That's kind of standard losses. Maybe the queens aren't as much, but everything else is somewhat standard of a loss against a Hellbat timing. But losing that 4th hatch and not canceling it, letting it die is really the worst thing here. And behind this, not only do we have Macfield, not only do we have Blue Flame, but Kelazhur's taking a page out of Gumio's book. He continued building Banshees, and Hyperflight Rotors is halfway done. This is battle mech to the extreme.
Hey, I mean, there's only one Overseer out on the map as well, and the Overseer, even the Speed Overseer, does not, in fact, catch a Speed Banshee. So that is going to be the key thing that he can use to try and escape out of there. Not to mention that, the queens are nowhere near fast enough to actually keep up with those Banshees. So they are going to have to not only be in position to try and deal with the Banshees initially, but they need to make sure that they have some backup somewhere else, because if those Banshees rotate around, the queens just literally cannot keep up with them.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, good news for Scarlett is that she is aware. She is aware that this is mech play. She's getting attack upgrades for her ranged units and her melee units, and that is nice. It's often somewhat easy, even after a Hellbat timing, to kind of assume that it's going to be bio afterwards. But again, Scarlett gets the good scout. But she's going to lose this base again. She's transfusing hard onto it, but another set of lock-ons, and it really does feel like it's going to be difficult for Scarlett to keep this alive, even as she sets the surround up. And that is absolutely something you got to be careful of. But the Banshees, they find it. And Kelazhur, he knows he can run away now. He knows what's happening. Perfect vision.
Yeah, even the Overseer is actually going to end up suiciding in through the A move. Now there's actually no detection for the Banshees, so the Banshees get to go ham again. There is a scan thrown down to clean up some of the extra creep tumors, because I think that is just showing Kelazhur how confident he really feels about this. He's like, wait, do you really not have anything else behind this? Like, I did it? I killed everything? You don't have anything else to throw at me? Well, hell yeah, then. You don't even have any Overseers or anything coming. Finally, they're going to be joining in. But, I mean, this is such a rough position for Scarlett now. This is just absolutely terrible, because behind this, Kelazhur has been adding on factories. He's adding on additional command centers. He's been getting upgrades. Everything is going up for Kelazhur right now.
Yeah, it's 7 factories, right? This is so much production coming out of Kelazhur right now. He's got, and the big thing that you point out here, he's not just building more battle mech. That's an easy thing to do, and it did feel like Kelazhur was kind of on the edge of poking through, but that is also something that can be punished. The infestors sneak out, or Lings get a good surround, and suddenly all your cyclones go down, you lose your Hellions, Zerg runs across the map, and it feels really bad. So instead, Kelazhur, he gets +1 attack. He adds an absolute ton of tanks, and this next round of push, I mean, it's Lingbane Hydra against that, what is like 7 tanks with +1.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of attack that a Zerg player normally wants Hive Tech for, so they can get up Vipers and Abduct and Blinding Cloud and everything. So even though it looks like Scarlett is starting to get a clean up on some of these tanks, at the end of the day, there's just a little bit too much over here. Even with all the Banshees getting cleaned up over there, Kelazhur still has an army alive. Scarlett does not. Scarlett doesn't have anything right now.
Yeah, and the bad news as well is it looks like Lings ran in, and when they didn't get the planetary, at least they got 10 SCVs. But the problem really here for these Hellion, or for these Hydras, for everything else, is the Hellion. The Blue Flame is shredding them, even as the tanks do a good job as well. I know Hydras, they get on top of some of these tanks, and it looks like the lack of high ground vision until right now, and we see the tanks firing once again. The scan goes down, and this position, Scarlett will clean it up for your Dragon. But you're right, the damage, it feels like it's far too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely telling to show that Kelazhur just does have close to double the army supply right now, and it's also the major problem that, again, Scarlett doesn't even have an infestation bed done. She just started it just now. She's so far away from having her transition set up that Kelazhur, as long as he's able to do another big push in before, say, like a large number of infestors or hive tech with vipers get energy up, I think Kelazhur is going to be well situated to do another big push and do a ton of damage with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Normally the timing we talk about, right, when we talk about, I guess, traditional mech moving across the map, they get 150 supply and they get and they hit an upgrade timing, like +1, something like that. And Kelazhur's there immediately. Like, his army is going to he's actually going to max out fairly quickly, given the fact that he's on like 7 factories. He's got 5 bases. And yeah, Scarlett, her hive is on the way. I really don't mind Kelazhur moving out right now, but if you want to max out, you want to go and get ready, get your 3-2 as well, I don't really see much of a downside. Yeah, there will be Vipers out, but look at Scarlett. Scarlett has an economy. She's on 90 drones, but look at where her supply is at. She's only just now redeveloped that economy.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be, I think that is the one thing I'm a little bit afraid of, is if Kelazhur, I do think there is such a thing as waiting a little bit too long here. So I think you're absolutely right. There's a short period of time where there's maybe not a ton of Vipers or something, or like the Vipers are still getting energy. There's still that little window where Kelazhur can just hit right as he maxes out. But I don't want him to wait too much longer than that, because there is the point where it's like, okay, Scarlett does actually manage to also get pretty close to max out, has maybe like 3-4 Vipers, and then suddenly this army composition doesn't look quite as strong unless Kelazhur can get some really big EMPs or, you know, snipes off or something with his ghosts.
Well, Hellbats on the north side, they're going to get a hatch. That's always really nice in this position from Kelazhur. I mean, Vipers, the hive is done. Vipers are not on production tab. They have not been made. And I mean, it's Link. Yeah, Scarlett gives the position up. It's Lingbane Hydra against +2 tanks that have just a line going back to infinity. It's going to be another dead hatch. So this is now a 4-hatch Zerg against a 5-base meching Terran that's going to have 3-2 pretty quickly. And maybe she's going to catch a couple of these tanks here. They're not sieged up, not just yet, but the Banelings get targeted down. And again, it's the line of tanks that's the problem here. Yeah, you get the first line. Good job, Scarlett. But it's the surround of the mech that is just annihilating everything. Best possible fight Scarlett could have found, but it is not enough. And Kelazhur goes up 1.
Yeah, had a solid, firm lead on that. I do want to say, I think part of that game we do have to chalk up a little bit to Scarlett not really being prepared for not only the Hellbat attack and stuff, but also just the Banshees and stuff that basically zone out the queens and cause all sorts of awkwardness. Everything kind of cascades from there, as StarCraft is just one of those fortunate and sometimes unfortunate games where one thing can just lead to another big problem, which leads into a bigger problem, which leads into another bigger problem. And then you find yourself 5 minutes later, it's like, where did that game go wrong? It's like, well, you know, this small little domino over here, yeah, it caused that big one to fall further down the line.
Although, Fear Dragon, in fairness, I would argue that the Banshees killing everything is a bit bigger than a small domino.
You know, in my mind, the small domino is her not making an overseer after seeing the cloak Banshees.
That's fair. Or, you know, not having a spore between the main. Although, in fairness, the reveal of the Banshees was the timing. So it wasn't like, oh, okay, I've scattered that there's Banshees. I'm going to put 4 spores down because my layer's not done or something like that. So, yeah, that's fair. The Banshees killing everything is the big domino, but it starts by just forgetting to morph an overseer. And I'd love to go back and look like what her gas count was. Was this something where she forgot, or was it something where she tried to get it, but didn't quite have that 50 gas just yet? And then, well, okay, you think you have it, you don't. It's a disaster.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. In my recollection, that fight with the Hellbats and the Banshees lasted for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah.
Time moves slower when you're in pain, and I was in a little bit of pain watching that. But yeah, it definitely happens, and it happens to the best of us, including players like Scarlett. So I think the bright side is it's something she could look at and say, all right, game number 2, that was a little bit silly. I can point back to the exact time where I just basically started falling behind. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Well, the humanity is, unfortunately for Scarlett, somewhat of a Terran map, but it's also ready, and Scarlett's doing some fun things. So we're going to get into here very quickly. And in the upper left, in the blue, down a map going for a supply. Well, For a gas cancel, 15 supply, it's Scarlett.
And down in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have our red Terran player currently leading up the series at 1-0 from Team Liquid. He is Kelazhur.
So why do you think Scarlett went for that? Did she just forget her Overlord, or? I mean, she does this 15 hatch gas cancel trick against Protoss players to make sure she gets her hatch down. Does she think Kelazhur is going to try to do something similar?
You know, I'm pretty sure Scarlett has some explanation for it, but I have no real, like, reasonable guesses for it. The only thing I could even really, like, say as a guess is that it gets out a drone a little bit faster if you think there's, like, a proxy or something, and then you can pull drones and have, like, one extra drone that's out a tiny bit faster. I don't even know if it's actually that helpful or anything. Kind of just chalk it up to one of those. Scarlett knows she's making some kind of like very, very minute trade-off and stuff. And you know what? I probably won't even notice the difference.
If this was a Latin American Zerg, we might say, yeah, okay, well, this just makes sense because this is what Eric does. Like he will do this in every matchup. Okay, fine. And it does keep you a little.
What's interesting to me with Eric is he does it and then also goes pool first. So I'm like, all right, there are very clearly some differences that are going to be happening here now.
Yeah, that is very much the case. But again, Scarlett is not one of those Latin American Zergs that kind of play their own style. And Kelazhur, I love that he sent the SCV, by the way, because New Humanity is like the one map that has a very different, it has a very tiered expansion setup. You go and actually, where are the lings? Scarlett doesn't have any lings on the production tab, and that just means that's a dead drone. And she went for the sport. I actually didn't see whether she got that down or not, but Scarlett's going for some weird efficiency plays here.
Maybe she was missing the 12 minerals that she needed to go for the lings because of the gas cancel.
Yeah, but she's still not building them.
Yeah. I'm just joking right now, but yeah, I think now she has the queens, so she doesn't have to get the lings up right now. But I know what you mean. Like, it is a little bit weird to see the lack of the lings, but the queens on this map, I think, do have a pretty good angle to just completely block off entry to the natural.
Yeah, the thing I'm looking at though is generally the lings. Okay, they defend against the Reaper early, that's nice, but what they also do is zone the Reaper out when you get the creep tumor down. Because that first tumor is getting that out as quick as possible is probably one of the most important parts of the Zerg early game, because you want to connect the natural to the third. You want to allow your queens to be able to rotate properly. And if you can't do that, then it does make it a little bit easier for, you know, Kelazhur to be as annoying as possible. Do we have... Okay, so Scarlett said 100. Scarlett went some version of a delayed clash, right? It's 100. It's 100 gas now, but she's... Ooh. Okay, there we go. So Roach Warren going down. Scarlett is, again, a lot of this is just kind of optimization, and she pulls drones to prevent this Reaper from getting in. If you're Kelazhur, alarm bells they got to be ringing so hard right now.
Well, I mean, grateful for Kelazhur. I'm sure he's grateful that he's not only going to be able to find a good bit of drone damage with a very, very small number of Hellions that just decided to dive in. 6 workers killed for 1 Hellion killed. The second Hellion is going to be very low on hit points, but even behind this, Kelazhur was going for Banshees regardless, and I think this is going to actually be very, very good coverage against anything that Scarlett could really want to do with those Roaches anyways. Like, this is actually such a great spot for Kelazhur.
And Scarlett's not... I kind of expected, again, with how weird Scarlett's opener has been, I expected there to be some sort of, like, hidden Roach tech. Okay, you know, 34 drones, 45 drones, something like that. I'm going to build a bunch of Roaches. I'm going to try to punish the Terran. By the way, Hellion's in once again. Scarlett, again, not blocking this wall. And she has a wall up that she can properly do things with, but the Queens were just not where they need to be. So she sees the Roach Warren. She sees the Roaches popping out. She loses more workers. And, I mean, this doesn't look like Scarlett right now. Kelazhur is getting so much done with so little. He did the same thing in game 1. Scarlett forgot the Overseer. I don't properly know what's up, but Scarlett is in a real... And the Banshee's getting more. Scarlett is in such a bad spot right now.
Yeah, well, I think Scarlett may be dead. Like, if I'm being entirely real, I don't know how Scarlett bounces back from this. Like, okay, I'm going to actually add another thing. Cloak is about to finish up, and I don't actually think that there's any Overseers morphed. No, sorry, there's a single Overseer morphed in. It's over at the natural. But if that Banshee plays its cards right, it's not actually sitting at the one base that doesn't have any detection with the spore or anything. So could even just move back in and get some more kills right now.
That Banshee can go home and kick its feet up, pull up a mojito, sit on a beach, and still be very happy with the damage it got. It doesn't need to do. It can retire in happiness. And Kelazhur, Scarlett's still going to be dead in this game. Come on! This is 4 more dead. The roaches are supposed to be good at defending this. You just, especially on Neo Humanity, they're only like really 2 attack paths. You can put roaches and queens there. Kelazhur is doing so much with these Hellions that I actually can't remember the last time I saw Hellions like this get the amount of the damage that they are. And worse news for Scarlett, this is not bio. This is not something where, you know, a good Bailey hit or something can make the comeback. Kelazhur is playing the style that needs to get damage done to be happy. He's playing mech, and he's killed, what is this? 30 drones. Fear Dragon, 30 drones before the 7-minute mark.
That is not supposed to happen. That's
No.
all I got to say about that. It's really unfortunate. Scarlett really cut the corners, even with the roach production stuff. When we ended up seeing the Hellions dive back in and get another like 5 or 6 worker kills back there, like there was 3 roaches out on the map or something, and one of the roaches I guess died to the Banshees, sure, but there were just really not a ton made, which I get. You're trying to cut corners there, you're trying to get minimal defense, but things have really just not been working out. A queen also caught off guard, a creep tumor also going to be stalled out, and this is enough Banshees that you can definitely kind of just ignore a little bit of the spore crawler damage and just go for a couple of drones.
There are only 4 queens, or 3. Actually, wait. Yeah, there are only 4 queens right now, only 3 right here. So with 4 Banshees, I mean, there's not a lot of. There's like 1 transfuse on these queens, Fear Dragon. The Banshees, I think, can realistically just snipe all the anti-air on the map right now. But instead, it's gonna be roaches. It's gonna be this 4th base, and even if Kelazhur doesn't kill this, he's aware of what's happening, and this is like at least half damage on it. So that's just the Hellions join in. This just feels like a dead hatch. Scarlett's gonna stick on it. This time she gets the cancel at least, but it just goes from bad to worse.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot. Scarlett needs a better economy. Hatcheries to expand over to like that kind of center gold base and to get a little bit of the extra gas income and stuff would be really nice with fewer drones. Having that canceled and delayed is just going to make things even more painful, because it means that it's going to be harder to establish a foothold there. It means that it's going to be easier for Kelazhur to snipe off that base later on as well. There are all kinds of headaches that Scarlett has to deal with, and so all of those headaches are going to be starting in another like 10 or 15 seconds as this army moves across the map.
Yeah, theoretically, good news for Scarlett is she does have 5 Vipers on the way, but the problem is Vipers are great. They're a support unit for your Dragon. You need things under them to make them worthwhile. And I'm pretty sure, you know, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure having as many Vipers as roaches is not how you win this game.
Yeah. There's a certain point where it's like you abduct the unit, but then something has to kill the unit that got abducted. You're absolutely right. And I mean, the Hydras are actually going to be adding in quite a bit of DPS there. So we do see some good pickoffs there for Scarlett. This is one of the few ways that she can be a little bit more cost efficient. And this is in some ways a kind of tough map where there are a handful of different pathways and stuff, but there are definitely some areas of this map where all movement to a particular part of the map just gets funneled in through like 1 or 2 different choke points. So if Scarlett can cover a couple of those choke points against the multi-prong little battle mech harassment, she can hold the line and find some cost-efficient trades for a bit.
Kelazhur, though, he's already moved on from the battle mech idea, though. Yeah, he's got Reapers, or he's got Hellions, he's got Cyclones, and he has the battle mech upgrades, but we're seeing him do the exact same thing he did in game number 1, except faster, because Scarlett cannot punish. It's 5 factories. He's building tanks. He's got 2-1 on the way, adding in that Ghost Academy. Sensor Tower is the forward 4th base for more gas, because, you know, meching Terran, unlike most compositions, they're really not held back by mineral count. You're going to have that. It's about getting that 4 gas, or in this case, getting that 8 gas, or in this case, again, the 7 gas that counts as just enough. Is Blue Flame Hellions again. If you were tired of, if you wanted a matchup where we just watch drones die all day, this is your one. 18 more hit the deck.
Yeah, that is absolutely brutal. The entire mineral line basically just gets killed off. There's a single drone still mining minerals there. That is very, very rough. So yeah, Scarlett's gonna, it doesn't look as bad as it really is, because Scarlett just immediately remakes all of those worker losses and everything. The one thing I will say,
Scarlett.
Oh no, the one thing I was gonna say was that Scarlett had 5 Vipers with full energy, unlike that first game where Scarlett was up against this kind of push and basically did not have the Vipers or anything else out. losing one of the Vipers to start with is just not the way that Scarlett wants this to go. She's already in a rough spot. Losing one of her few advantages is not how she needs this to go.
Yeah. The crazy thing, by the way, is we look at this and Scarlett has lost, 58 drones. But if you look at resources lost, she's only down about 1,000 resources. Like, given the game state here, that boggles my mind.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that Kelazhur is, you were saying this before, right? It's about a lot of the gas units. The Hellions are almost like this throwaway unit to use as both harassment as well as also just trying to get additional like pickoffs, and basically it's just like a mineral dump. So I think Kelazhur's a lot more okay with trading the resources for like some of those Hellions in for a bunch of those drones. But those siege tank pickoffs were quite nice for Scarlett. So I do want to give her kudos for that one. That is definitely going to be extremely helpful. And ooh.
Game paused.
All right. Got a little bit of latency latency there, but we're calming down.
Yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen on that one. I guess some issue with the whales. Sometimes they corkscrew clockwise instead of counterclockwise over the undersea cables, and it just makes things packets slow down just a little bit.
Yeah. Does look like we're getting ready to move back into the game, though, as the referee unpauses. But thankfully not happening at a critical moment, and neither one of these players are actually doing any kind of skirmishing with their units. So we are totally safe from the game integrity being affected.
Oh, no, there we go. That's a bit better EMP. Half the Vipers lose out. Actually, did Kelazhur snipe a Viper too?
Yeah, he got a Viper. There's only one Viper, or 3 Vipers now.
So Scarlett, though, I gotta give her credit. We've been talking about how good this game is for Kelazhur and how really unfortunate things are. She's gonna get a lot of the Banshees. Kelazhur not paying attention. But that is why Kelazhur's not paying attention, because he's attacking in through the middle of these Vipers. Oh, big snipes there go down on the high energy Viper. There was an abduct, sure, but that does not feel nearly enough. So Kelazhur makes sure and gets on top of all the morphing and broodlords as well. Snipes and cyclones are trying to find what they can. But there's actually just not enough anti-air. So Scarlett, she will eventually clean this up. But now the question, as Kelazhur builds Thors and builds Ghosts, how much damage does Kelazhur get, and is it worth it?
No, you're absolutely right. And I love the decision to just kill the Spore Crawler with the Banshees, because the Hellions can split up between the bases. The Banshees can take out all of the drones at this base with no detection and no anti-air over there. Kelazhur is massacring drones left and right, and Scarlett is basically being forced to remake drones rather than a lot of the ground forces that she's been losing. So the Broodlords are great, and you're absolutely right. They do reign supreme, but as you also pointed out, all of the answers are coming out behind this from Kelazhur. So Kelazhur just needs to hold the line a little bit longer. The Planetary Fortress, even I think, I actually wouldn't even mind if he ends up letting this base fall. Obviously, it's better to keep it alive. But if this base falls, I actually think it's still okay, because I think as soon as he gets those Thors out, he's going to reign supreme on the map in the big army fight again.
Yeah, he's just not letting it go down. The repair is really good. The snipes actually... I want to point this out, by the way. Kelazhur was sniping units. Sure, he was killing Hydras and Roaches, but a lot of that snipe energy, a lot of that snipe time was dedicated towards killing the Overseers. Because if you get those down, these Ghosts have Cloak. They can run forward, they can get right on top of the Broodlords, and without that detection, as a Queen goes down from the other side, without that detection, those Broodlords would have gone down. So Scarlett does a really good job recognizing that she has to back up, that fight was very close from just turning from, maybe this isn't the best here, I'm pushing, I'm killing some SCVs, whatever. I'm still in a bad spot too. I have just lost everything because all my Broodlords got sniped down.
Yeah, I honestly do think that Scarlett has been playing a really great game, considering that she's just been playing from behind this entire time. She's been doing an incredible job with the Vipers to try and get cost-efficient engagements. The tech transitions, and Vipers included, but even the Broodlord transition coming so quickly have basically kept her in this game. She's also doing another tech transition out into getting up a lot of these infestors, actually a surprising number, because she has had a fair amount of gas. She has been reestablishing a lot of her bases and actually gotten back up to a 90 worker count. So while again, I do think that Scarlett's in a bit of a rough spot, I really do think that she is doing her absolute darndest to try and win this game. And I actually think it's not that far away from maybe being able to have a chance of mounting a comeback.
Yeah, what I'm trying to figure out, though, I guess it's a lack of, Scarlett doesn't have enough larva. She's got a bank. 2K, about 2K, but she's not maxed out, and this Thor Ghost army is just not something that she can fight right now. My mind continues to be boggled that in a game where 15 minutes in, Scarlett has lost 118 drones. And still she's somehow into it as EMP's not going to land just yet. Fungal's on this army. Broodlord's on the high ground. There we go. EMP start to hit a little bit more, and the Infestors, they got to hide backwards. And yeah, there we go. Kelazhur finally pushes on through. But remember, this was a 15-minute game where Scarlett made some pretty great moves from behind. And it started with her losing pretty much her entire economy multiple